We're joined now by our friend Bill O'Reilly. Tons of number one best-selling books. You can go check those out everywhere. And I mentioned this, the most recent, Killing the Witches, which is really good. Read it myself. My parents love it. And I think
you mean like this Killing the Witches,
well.
which people watching on the stream? I am holding it up for Uncle Bill here because I've got my copy here because I have been reading it.
All right. It is really good. Bill, let's dive right into this. Trump is going to be the nominee. You and I do not believe that he's going to run against Joe Biden. There suddenly is a lot of talk about Michelle Obama. She is, if you look at the gambling markets, the third most likely. Number one is Trump. Number two is Biden. Number three is Michelle Obama. Third most likely to be elected president. You buy into the Michelle Obama hype, or do you think someone else would replace Biden? And do you still think Biden's on his way out?
Yeah, there is nobody else. So the Democratic Party has only one option, and that would be if Michelle Obama signaled that she would accept a nomination at the convention. She's not going to campaign, not going to be Super Tuesday, not going to be going to the diners, not going to be anything like that. So how it would shake down would be just like 1968, Lyndon Johnson, going to serve out my term but not going to run again. This is Joe Biden who would do it. And I'm throwing all my delegates to Michelle Obama. She walks in to Chicago's convention in August, and they crown her, and then she runs against Trump. So that is a scenario. Now, a lot of Democrats that I know, with pretty good connections, say that Michelle's not interested, even though she has been more visible lately. That's what they say. I don't know.
Bill, I want to ask you about the border. Thanks for being here with us.
Sure.
It's clearly gotten more attention at the national level than it has, I think, in a while. It's a combination of things. The huge numbers now going on, call it 7 million, something like that, going to be 8 million by the end of this year. Illegals pouring into the country. And now the Biden administration fighting in court for the right to take away barbed wire, to make it easier for illegals to come into the country. How do you think, it's an election year, they know they're unpopular on this one, the polls look terrible for Biden on the border. How do you think they play it? They just try to blame Republicans? What do they do?
Well, the latest play is that the Republicans won't compromise on new border restrictions, and they want the issue to run in November on it. That's what Wall Street Journal said today. That's what all the corporate media is putting out there. The truth is a different matter, and people need to listen closely now to this analysis. And this is why you should go to BillO'Reilly.com every day, because I have a message of the day on this subject. I'm currently writing a book called Confronting the Presidents, No Spin Assessments from Washington to Biden. Every single president is going to be assessed on whether they hurt or help the country. Can almost finish with it. It'll be out in September. I have never seen an active policy as bad as Joe Biden's open border policy. Never in our republic's history has any sitting president actively done something to bring so much harm to the country. Now, passively, Buchanan and Pierce didn't do anything about the growing rebellion in the South before Lincoln. Prohibition was insane. The run-up to the Great Depression was crazy. But this one is a progressive tenet that Joe Biden embraced because he is not capable of thinking about unintended consequences of anything. And now the nation is getting blasted fiscally, narcotics, you name it. And Biden sits there and fiddles just like Nero. So the press has ignored the story largely because what are they going to do? Say bad things about Biden? That's never going to happen for the corporate media. So most Americans who don't live down by the border, they don't know how bad this is, except in the last 6 months, the migrants have now come to New York City, to Chicago, to Los Angeles, and the states and cities have to pay their way. And that is bankrupting the state and local municipalities, and it will lead to tax rises that working people can't afford. That's what's happening right now. Now, the Democratic Party will just tell you, oh, it's not that bad. I mean, you heard Mayorkas, border secure. Okay, Baghdad Bob. You know, Saddam's winning. We're winning. You remember that in the go? Yeah, we're winning. That's exactly the same thing. But people believe what they want to believe. And Democrats who don't want Trump are going to believe whatever is put in front of them. Only hope for the nation is that independent voters say, this is madness. We got to get this president out of there.
Bill, I know you talked to Donald Trump a decent amount. You've done a lot of events with him over the years. I think you have a certain amount of fondness for him. If he called you and he said, who should I pick as vice president? You think that he's not necessarily going to be running against Biden. We have a lot of conversation on this show already about who the VP should be and whether it even matters that much. But let's pretend that Trump asks you who his VP should be. Who would you say he should be considering?
I already told him. Huckabee Sanders, the governor of Arkansas.
And what do you like about her?
On a cliffhanger for a second, Bill.
You said, by the way, we had a caller a while back who's probably listening right now, like just throwing his fist up in the air, who said the pick's going to be Sarah Huckabee Sanders. What do you like about her? She's Arkansas's governor. She's been on this program several times. I like her too as well. What makes her the right choice to you?
Well, with Trump, it's all about trust and not overshadowing him. So he already has a working relationship with the governor because she was in the White House communications office, and she's not the type of person that would hotshot it. Good campaigner, came up with a very witty slogan, Team Normal versus Team Crazy. You could run with that all day long. And I think women respect her. Yeah, she had a lot of advantages because of her father being governor of Arkansas, but she looks to be, she's a mom, she's hardworking, she's honest. I don't see a downside to her. And when you're looking at a vice president, that's the first question. What's the downside? And the upside is that I think women who don't, in general, a lot of them have, a dubious opinion of Donald Trump, that might reassure them a little bit.
I agree with you, by the way, and we've talked about this some. I think Trump going with a female vice presidential candidate, given his challenges with women, particularly college-educated white women in the suburbs, is not a bad move at all. And it's not going to hurt him, and it could actually be very beneficial.
Yeah, I mean, look, comfort zone is important for a presidential ticket. So Pence was a good vice president for Trump because he was a technician and ran Indiana very well as governor. And he didn't want to overshadow Trump. And Trump listened to Pence. And so now, with the demographics shifting in the favor of female voters, you almost have to go with a woman on the second if you're Trump. So, to me, it's not even a tough call.
Bill, we're speaking to Bill O'Reilly, everybody. Killing the Witches, the latest. I've got my copy right here on the desk. You can also go to BillO'Reilly.com for more, including his message of the day. And Bill, I wonder, all the legal stuff we've been talking about this that Trump has been up against, it feels like some of it certainly is slipping away. I mean, the Fani Willis thing, that's a disaster for the Democrats. I think everybody knows it's a disaster for Fani Willis, that's for sure. Some of the other stuff is looking like it may be trickier on a timeline, particularly the two federal cases. Alvin Bragg may actually happen. Do you think that they somehow managed to not squeeze in a single one of these trials before the election? How do you see it playing out, given that we're here in January of 24?
Sure. I mean, the appeals process almost guarantees that Trump will not be in a courtroom on a criminal beef before the election. So the Atlanta thing is done. All right, Fannie did all kinds of things that we know she did because of bank records. So they're allegations, and she's entitled to due process, but she did it. And that is called prosecutorial misconduct. So the governor of Georgia, Kemp, should have already suspended her from the case. He's about to do that. And the attorney general should take it over because this is insane. You can't have... Look, the key to Fannie Willis, and they can call her Fonnie or whatever else, but her name is Fannie, all right, is that she sent her boyfriend, who she hired to help with the Trump prosecution, to the White House twice. Why? That's a local beef, Fulton County. What's this guy doing in the White House? And that's the big story right there. So Atlanta, forget it. New York, these are local beefs that the Trump lawyers will kick up to federal court on his civil rights are being violated. Trump's civil rights are being violated. That's because it's a foregone that Trump will lose in New York City because it's New York City. And if you think a Republican get a fair trial in New York City, you're crazy. So they'll bump it up into, his rights are being violated. Trump's rights are being violated. And that'll take forever. The Jack Smith special counsel, Mar-a-Lago, and conspiracy on January 6th, those are very weak cases because Biden did the same thing, and the special counsel for Biden, Robert Hur, said, yeah, he did it, but I'm not going to do anything. Hello? So that really hurt Smith. And as far as the conspiracy to promote the riot on January 6th, boy, that's a long shot. There's exculpatory evidence all over the place on that case. So I think Trump's got, a 70-75% chance of getting to Election Day without any kind of criminal conviction.
Bill O'Reilly, check him out, BillO'Reilly.com. We'll talk to you again soon, and go ahead and start thinking about steakhouses because Buck's going to have to buy us a great one as soon as.
And I'm getting an appetizer too. All right, Buck?
Yeah, no doubt, me too.
Rim cocktails expensive, Bill, but for you, we'll make it happen. Thank you.
I'm running it up. All right, guys, anytime. Thanks for having me.
Thanks.